So the screen that I'm on now, I know probably the other panelists are horrified by me showing this screen. Well, the reason I'm showing this screen first is because to truly understand digital employee experience, I start from where we used to go. So we used to look at the machine. So these are where all of my physical machines are around the world. That's how the machines are performing. DEX is not about the machine. DEX is about the user. So here is my employee dashboard where I'm looking at the users in my environment. Let me change my time frame here to today. So this is my users in my environment today, how the users are performing. This is a 10,000-foot view of my users. I can see where I have hotspots, application crashes. If I go down into Teams, I see Teams crash today. For Sam, this is his laptop. This is, he's obviously, not in the US, but this is, you know, what's happening in my environment as we speak today. Do I care about what's perfect? Probably not. Do I care what's good? Maybe. I care about poor user experience. Now, there's nothing wrong with knowing about, good things because you want to take the good with the bad, but this is looking at the people in my environment today. But I want to look at it today and want to look at it historically. Let's look over the last 30 days. This is the user experience of the people in my environment over the last 30 days. I'm gonna go back to today. Not only am I looking at it from a 10,000-foot view, if I look at the details of the users, so these are my users. This is the experience, the low score, the high score, the devices that they're on, and the common problems that they're having. So I know where to start looking. I know what to start looking at. So, for example, um, Martin. This is Martin's experience again today. He's had 3 incidents. He's on one device. He's using 10 web apps. He's been on a Teams call. He's been pretty productive, today. And this is a breakdown of that. So I know the whens, the wheres, the hows, the whys. I can see what was going on, where the problems are. And this can, in turn, help me be more proactive in uh, fixing problems before an end user is seen having a problem. So I'm going to use a SaaS solution as an example here. So this is, just a test site, but the story behind this is what's important because as IT administrators, we may not own the SaaS solution they're going to. I'll use Salesforce, for example. You know, Choice uses it, we use it. A lot of companies use Salesforce or whatever other SaaS solution that, could be out there today. And when a user goes in and starts working on a SaaS solution and there's a problem, they're not calling um, the SaaS solution owner. They're not calling Salesforce. They're calling you, the IT admin. They want you to fix the problem, even though you don't own the problem, but we're responsible for the problem. So if I go back over to my dashboard, I can see, you know, obviously within our software, we can create synthetic tests to, constantly test the website, but it still doesn't test the end user experience on that website. So as I start talking about my users and the performance of my users and where they are and how the actual device is performing, again, I I care, but I care more about the user experience. In the solution, I can look at the application or the SaaS applications that the users are going to. So in my environment, in my test environment, I have different SaaS solutions that the end users are going to. So in this, I can see the performance from the standpoint of the experience of the user. And that's the important part. And I don't want to, go too far down this rabbit hole, but as an admin, you specify what sites or what SaaS solutions that I want to monitor for that user. this ties back in, and I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, so forgive me, guys. This is for a longer demonstration. But if I go back up the rabbit hole to the user's dashboard, when I go and look at a user, so for example, Crystal Clear, she's already gone to that website, today, and she did not have a good experience when she was actually on that website. So I can see exactly the who's, the whys, the whats. She's had a pretty fair experience today. Now, do I want to go through the process of troubleshooting this? I can, but at this point in time, I'm going to keep it high level. So if you have any questions, concerns, we can always get a deeper dive demo to dive deeper into this, because I only have a limited amount of time. But this piece of looking at it from, or just changing your perspective, I'm not looking at the machine. I'm looking at the user's experience on that machine. How is the user experience going? That's DEX. That is the key to making sure that that we all have a job. Our job is to make sure that the end users are supported, the business units are supported. Well, this is one way of doing that. Now, there's a lot of new features in the software. So I'm going to change my perspective one more time. So instead of looking at it from the end user standpoint, now let's look at it from our day-to-day standpoint as an admin. So we integrate into a lot of different SaaS solutions. And one way that we do this is by a feature set in the product called Enrich. Enrich allows you as the admin to be able to integrate quickly into other ticketing solutions, or I'm going to show you here in a second integration into Intune, and how our software interacts with those other solutions. So here I'm in ServiceNow, and you could be using any ITSM that's web-based in our solution. The only thing I got to do is have this web plugin and tell it what sites to monitor. And what do I mean by monitor? I have a user here, or I have a ticket here about this Wi-Fi notification. So when I go into that ticket, actually, oh, there we go. Sorry. When I go into that ticket, if you notice on the far right-hand side of the screen, this little widget appeared. What is this? This is the Enrich plugin that ties back into our solution. So your level 1 technician, when your level 1 technician is looking at a ticket for a user, and we see, we're actually reading that screen for a machine name. If that machine name is in our database, I literally, without leaving ServiceNow, can come over and take a look at that machine, the performance of the machine. I can run actions, either from a user standpoint or from a system standpoint. I could even do a remote shell to the machine, remote shadow, or remote control. So this gives you, the admin, the ability to quickly integrate into third-party solutions. For example, Intune. I'm in my Intune environment. I go to my devices, and notice that widget is not in the far right-hand corner of the screen. But when I go down into a device, that widget pops up. And if I go over here, again, I'm now seeing information about that machine for, you as the administrator doing your day-to-day job. Any questions, concerns, comments before I continue? Great.
Yeah, I would just like to say, Roger, on that side. I mean, I personally, Enrich is just a phenomenal addition. Originally, it was just for kind of Intune and ServiceNow, but opening it up to any SaaS platform, just as long as you have the either serial number or device name essentially in that URL string, it brings out that ControlUp widget. And the remote control capability is awesome. If you're talking about from Intune, if you're not on the full Intune suite, you're paying an additional couple dollars a month per desktop essentially for that remote control capability. And that's built in into Enrich and ControlUp. So that's pretty awesome to be able to bring that data to the actual service desk, because that's one of the challenges that we see as we work with different organizations is that the service desk has 4 or 5 different tools that they're using, and maybe they don't want to jump into another tool like ControlUp. If we can bring that data to them inside of ServiceNow, where that's their day to day, that's their bread and butter. That's just a huge win, and we've seen that across organizations. So fantastic job, kind of coming to bringing that together.
Well, I wish I could take credit for it. I just take credit for showing it.
You were the lead developer. Don't listen. Don't. I know you're one of the main coders here. Okay, you don't have to. Yep, I know.
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff. And then the other piece here, what I love about the employee view that you showed is when you click into one of those and you see that timeline across the user's day is just phenomenal, right? Because that user roams between, some users roam like from, me personally, like my laptop took a crap, and everyone knows I always have audio issues or challenges with the different headsets or whatever, but my laptop was having all sorts of problems, and I was going to go get a new laptop. And I'm like, you know what? I went and bought an iPad. And, I bought an Apple, man, with what they're charging for these freaking man, for these keyboards. This keyboard was like $400. Like, good on Apple for doing that. But I've been running in a cloud PC. This session right now that we're running, I'm on my cloud PC. I've been running full time in a cloud PC. And it's great to see what that experience looks like. So Teams meetings, Zoom experience, running it day to day, using the optimization, and then being able to see, what you guys are doing here when you look at control, because we use it internally, right? We use it, and we're able to see as I roam through my day from my iPad to my individual PC, from my home Wi-Fi to the office, and see that across this timeline has been really nice.
Yeah.
It also proves the point that my Wi-Fi at the house isn't great, that my wife keeps complaining about. I don't get
So,
that.
you know, with your example there, Shane, here's my user crystal clear. She's currently, working on 2 machines, physical machine, virtual machine. I can see, her experience. Obviously, Crystal is not very productive, but I can see, what's going on, the locations that she's working from. So Antioch, Tennessee. This is right outside Nashville, and that's where I'm located. So this is where my test machine is. I can see the experience of that user.